Hello, Pewter people. Scott Reynolds here with another Pewter Pulse. Let's talk about Bucs defensive tackle Logan Hall today and his week one performance at Minnesota, as well as some reasonable expectations for Hall in his second season in Tampa Bay. I know he was the Bucs' first pick at the top of the second round last year, but technically that's the same realm as Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. Hall was drafted with the 33rd overall pick in 2022, and JTS was selected with the 32nd overall pick the year before, just one pick apart. So there are some high expectations for Hall, the big 6'6", 296-pounder, as he heads into his second season. Now, he underwhelmed a little bit in the preseason. He did get to play in every preseason game. He needs some snaps, he needs some experience, but he did show some signs of promise last year as a role player in a reserve during his rookie season. He recorded 2.5 sacks, including his first one against Aaron Rodgers on third down. In fact, Hall led all rookie defensive tackles in sacks last year. And 2.5 sacks is not that scary of a number. Matter of fact, if you look at the last three defensive tackles for the Buccaneers that were Pro Bowlers, all of them happen to be first rounders. Warren Sapp, Gerald McCoy, Vita Vea. All three of those guys, what do they have in common aside from being first round picks, defensive tackles who played for the Buccaneers and made a Pro Bowl? Well, all three only had 3 sacks during each of their rookie seasons. So Hall not too far away, but I'm not going to put him in that class just yet because I don't know if he's that type of player. Hall spent this offseason getting bigger, and he was drafted to be a project last year, not an impact player. He played in college at Houston in the mid 260 pounds and entered the league at 283 pounds. When he got to Tampa, he had to add some weight. At 283 pounds, he had to gain about 15 pounds of mass and muscle to get stronger this offseason to better hold up against the run. And he did just that. He's up to about 300 pounds now, and that should help him in the run game. Hall played 40 snaps on Sunday at Minnesota and had just one game with that many snaps last year, which was the Atlanta game in week 18, the season finale, where he played 47, and the Bucs played a lot of their backups. Otherwise, he averaged 23 snaps per game, so about half of what he's playing now as a starter. I've gone on record saying that this is going to be like rookie season 2.0 for Hall. He's going to be a first-year starter this season. He's playing at a much heavier weight, about 30 pounds heavier than he played at Houston 2 years ago. So it's different for him from a body standpoint and a conditioning standpoint, an experience standpoint. Like it or not, Logan Hall is going to be a work in progress. And he's playing a much harder position than Joe Tryon-Shoyinka is. In fact, he's facing double teams from 300-pounders on a regular basis. And, he's going up against some of those 30-year-old guards who have grown man strength. It's just different inside. Playing defensive tackle might be the hardest position to play on defense outside of being an island cornerback as a rookie. But just because he's a defensive tackle doesn't mean he gets let off the hook. At the same time, he's not the flashy, splashy player that Kalijah Kancey was drafted to be this year. The Bucs invested another first-round pick on a defensive tackle. But remember, Kancey was a mid-first-round pick with legit first-round talent. He blew up at the combine, and even though he's just 6 foot, 286 pounds, we saw in the glimpses that he played in Minnesota in those 11 snaps, his flash and splash and speed. Hall is what he is, a second-round player. In Todd Bowles' defense, he wants a replacement for 6'6", 300-pound defensive tackle Will Golston, someone who can do the dirty work in the run game, but bring more pass rush and athleticism to the table than Dotson, who was a 4th-round pick back in the day in 2013. Golston's entering his 11th season, and he's entered the league as a 281-pound defensive end. Don't forget that. He was about 30 pounds lighter too, and he played defensive end at Michigan State. Now, the average NFL career is about 3 years. So Golston, who played a vital role in his prime, And Todd Bowles' run defense and helped the Bucs win a Super Bowl was actually a heck of a pick when you look at it. In fact, if Mark Dominic and Greg Schiano had a crystal ball back then and knew that Golston would be a mainstay for a decade in Tampa Bay in 2013, they would have drafted him in the second round instead of cornerback Jonathan Banks. Kind of like what the Bucs did with Logan Hall in the second round last year. The best thing for Hall is he has Golston around for one more year, same body type, same kind of background where he has to gain weight, big, tall, 6'6" frame. He's got him to learn from for this year. So have some patience when it comes to Logan Hall in his rookie season 2.0, as I'm calling it. Todd Bowles knows defensive linemen and he knows what he wants. And he thought that Hall actually played a pretty good game against the Vikings. I know that he got thrown around a little bit by Christian Darrisaw in the run game, but he's going to get better. He said that Logan Hall played well. That's what he told me. That's better than playing bad, but it's not quite as good as playing good either. With more size and more snaps, we'll see how Logan Hall develops this year. And we'll see if he can top his sack total from last year along the way. Bucs fans, I invite you to subscribe to Pewter Report TV. That's our YouTube channel. Make sure you like this video and leave a comment for me. Let me know what you think about this episode of the Pewter Pulse. For more Pewter Pulse episodes and other great Bucs video content, find them on Pewter Report TV. Follow us on Instagram, X, and Facebook at Pewter Report. And make sure you visit pewterreport.com for breaking news and game coverage all season long. And I'll be back with another edition of the Pewter Pulse soon.